it. I'm gonna here in the background.
Slander. You gotta
And
take
we
that
are
slander.
live.
Or
I was
throwing
just talking about the, I was
haymakers.
just talking about the sniffles.
You don't want to talk
Y'all
now.
Nope, sitting in the corner.
Good boy.
Adam, you can't live with that good boy.
Nah, let it rock. Let it rock.
If I speak, I'm in trouble.
Alright, so I am tweeting out the link now.
Everybody sounds good. I just haven't heard Bryce yet.
Hello? Hello?
Stiggs, are you able to put it in the chat?
Bryce sounds good. I cannot. I cannot.
Okay.
I have it pulled up on my console.
Alright, let me... No worries, no worries. Alright, I think we're good to go. Alright, everybody, welcome to episode 11. Yeah, fellas, we are on episode 11 of the We Know Ball College Football Podcast. Shout out to us for keeping this going. Shout out to Sketchy for the slides. Tonight, I'm your host, Paul, joined as always my lovely co-host, Stiggs,
Yes, sir.
Bryce,
What's up?
and Adam.
Yo.
Shout out to Sketchy for this first slide. That is
Shout out Sketchy.
Shout out Sketchy for
W
making the
Sketch.
slides. W Sketchy. We're going to go ahead and quickly get into our game reviews. We got a fun episode tonight. Little bit of spreading different topics around for each people. So it's going to be real exciting. We'll start out with the Week 10 games recap. Starting out here with Adam. Cincinnati, the scores are flipped, but Utah wins 45-14. Adam, over the Bearcats.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this game. Besides, it was, pardon my French here, fucking embarrassing. I mean, straight up, I'm just going to keep it real. They did not show up ready to play at all. Sorsby did not look great. He kind of looked like the Sorsby of last year. Had a terrible pick off of his own lineman's helmet. Had a fumble in the red zone. Just straight up, Cincinnati did not come ready to play against Utah.
So I was talking to Kang tonight, a fellow Bearcat fan, and his excuse is what he said. They should never make them play at 10-15.
Agree.
I mean, I kind of agree, but at the same time, you already know going into the game week, that's what time you're playing. You should be able to adjust to that a little bit.
What I told him was there are plenty of teams that have gone to the West Coast and won.
Yeah, Scott Satterfield so far is, I'm pretty sure he's 0-2 on the West Coast, and both times they have just not looked great at all. I mean, granted, last year was against Travis Hunter, and he pretty much embarrassed us, but still, you got to be able to go into a different time zone and win. You have to look like you are competent. They did not look competent at all.
Yep. We're gonna Stiggs, you got any nuggets on this one?
Yeah, just Utah controlled the game from the jump. I mean, the game started UC with the 3-and-out, and then Utah amassing a 7-minute TD drive. So they controlled the time of possession, 40 minutes of possession to UC's 20. Anytime that happens, it's going to be a recipe for a bad day. Utah's offense was also balanced. UC 30 missed tackles.
Wow.
So
Also,
that was a big problem.
They lost the turnover battle as well in this one.
Yeah, it was a very well coached game by Whittingham. Thoroughly dominated from the start to the finish.
The Bearcats aren't out of it. They're not done. There's still a lot of football left. They got the bye week coming up. Utah initially comes in with the college football playoff rankings at number 13. Adam, before we move on from that, I know we were kind of saying, if you're going to value the UC win so much for Utah to be ranked 13, how are you going to disrespect them in the rankings?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Because if you look at Utah's wins, UC is very clearly the best win. It's not even close. But yet you respect it enough to put them that high, but you don't even rank UC, especially over a 3-loss Tennessee team. Yeah. And then one more thing real quick. 31 missed tackles. I did not know that. Sounds like the other football team that plays in this town.
Yeah.
So, fitting. Very fitting.
Yeah, next game here. How about we go to Bryce for this one? Tennessee and Oklahoma. Oklahoma wins 33-27.
You know, if that OU kicker didn't have so many dress code violations and OU's defense wasn't carrying them for the entire game, this could have been a different game. Flip the script. Tennessee sold. They sold pretty bad. I think this is just a testament to how good OU's defense actually is under Brent Venables. I'll give them that. Tennessee really sold the cake on this one. They blew it, but good win for OU. They have a bye, I believe, and then Bama next week. So,
gotcha. Yeah. Tennessee comes in ranked 25th. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think they're done for the playoff. There's just no going back to it this year for them. Stiggs, what do you got to say?
Ranking 3-loss Tennessee is crazy for me.
Yep.
Their best win is Mississippi State. In regards to this game, I just had to get that out there. Apologies. But in regards to this game in particular, I do want to shout out that OU was able to establish the run with Xavier Robinson going over 100. Whenever they do that, good things will definitely happen for OU, as they haven't been really establishing the run all year. I do want to shout out a couple names that really didn't get the most love that I saw, but Peyton Bowen was actually a former Oregon commit that flipped on signing day. He had an interception, pass breakup, has been their highest graded player in the game with an 82.1 grade. And then their interior duo of Grayson Halton and David Stone both had strong performances, particularly in the second half, keeping their defense, locking up Joey Aguilar and company. And also their freshman tackle, Michael Fasusi. I've been high on him as a recruit. You guys probably see me mention him in the chat, but he only allowed one pressure on all the pass blocking snaps. So all in all, really good performance for OU.
Yeah, you got to tip your cap to the Sooners. They played pretty good in this one. It's just a big flip from last year. You know, Tennessee was really pride on their defense, and they just don't have it anymore. They still, I know they lost Pierce and all, but this game basically seals it for them. We'll move on to the next one. Stiggs, I'll let you handle this one, brother. Georgia Tech 36, NC State 48. They were Haynes King and Co. They were fighting, but 50 burger by NC State is hard to overcome.
Yeah, you guys heard me say it on the pod last week, dude. I knew that he was going to get let down by his teammates eventually, and it wasn't really even his offensive teammates. They all stepped up. But yeah, he got let down by his defense. I do want to shout out NC State quarterback CJ Bailey. They didn't have their top back, Hollywood Smothers, who's been one of the top performers in NCAA in terms of rushing yardage. But CJ Bailey carried the load, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 86 passing grade. And then their running back, Duke Scott, backup, he stepped up in the absence of Hollywood with 196 rushing yards. Haynes King still went off, 400 passing yards and 100 on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. Still think he's a Heisman candidate, but yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, definitely. They came in, Georgia Tech, coming into this game ranked so highly. The initial rankings put them at 18. They're gonna have a tough road to climb back up, but those games are still on the schedule. They do play Georgia, but we'll move on to the next game here. I'm gonna
ACC's a shit show.
It is. It absolutely is. And speaking of that, we're gonna stay here. SMU beats Miami 26-20. I can go ahead and take the reins on this. I was watching this game. Here's the deal with Miami. Before we even get into the Carson Beck overtime interception, Miami had this game won. I'm not sure if you guys were watching or paying attention to it. They had a 4th and 9 at midfield. SMU does, and Miami uses a timeout, and their defensive end hits the quarterback after a timeout is called and gets an unnecessary roughness call, gives SMU an automatic first down. The crazy thing is the sideline that Miami's on where Cristobal calls a timeout, the far side defensive end holds up. It's the near side that goes and hits the quarterback. What are they doing? What a bonehead play. Then the game is tied in classic Mario Cristobal fashion. It was driving me nuts watching him coach this game, Stiggs. There's a minute, what is it, 25 seconds, somewhere around there, and they have a timeout, Miami does, and they get the ball to the 20, 25. They don't even try. They just take a knee at the end of the game with it tied. You don't even trust Beck in your offense to try to get into field goal range to attempt to win the game. Then it comes back to bite you. What are we doing?
Yeah, that was. I did watch this game as well, and yeah, Cristobal was just blundering that whole fourth quarter with a bunch of questionable decisions. I think there might have been a reason that they didn't want to push that ball. Interesting stat that I found about this game: Carson Beck only faced pressure 2 on the 42 dropbacks. So he wasn't even like being hurried or being put under duress. He just is not making good decisions. So I'm worried that Carson Beck is reverting back to his last year form. I do want to acknowledge Kevin Jennings, who played banged up. He went in and out of the game a couple times, but he had 365 total yards, 2 total TDs, and a 90 overall grade. Very strong showing against Miami's blitz.
Yeah, and I saw someone say that this is the first time that SMU has beaten a top 10 team since the death penalty for them. I mean,
Got to shout out Rhett, actually. He's
crazy.
a good coach.
you have to. And it's like, but Miami, this is 2 weeks in a row. I mean, this game was insanely bad. They were up 20, was it 20 to 12, 20 to 14, something like that. With 3 minutes left in the game, you got to close that game out. Got to close that game out. It's frustrating because Miami feels like they should be a really good team, Dave.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was super high on them earlier in the year. And then once they lost that first game, I was like, well, let's maybe pull the reins back just a little bit, but not pulling back in the sense of losing to SMU the next week.
Yeah, and then the Carson Beck interception, and it just wasn't even open. Looks like a miscommunication. He tries to force it. Bad. It looked like he threw it off his back foot across the middle. Just not good.
The post press conference, he said that the receiver had to keep running the route. I guess he stopped running the route.
So is that 2 weeks in a row he kind of threw his guys under the bus on that? I mean, because did he do it last week too?
He threw his coordinators under the bus too. He's like, yeah, they were in the same defense the whole game. I just executed the play that was called.
That's kind of crazy.
Not ideal for him, but this was such a throw. One of the worst coached endings of a game I've seen in a long time. Really bad. I mean, and last thing I'll say before we move on, if it's 4th and 9, under 2 minutes to go, and you just got them from a 3rd and 16, 3rd and 17, why are you using a timeout anyway? If you're Miami.
Who knows?
Okay, well, I'll just move on because so many coaching blunders, like you said. I just don't understand it.
Move on before you freak out.
Exactly, bro. It hurt my head, not because I had currency on it, but just because it hurt my head to watch. Adam, did you watch any of this one? Texas beat Vanderbilt 34-31 on. They hold on. Vandy tries to make one of the best comebacks of all time. Texas started this game super hot, and they could have recovered the onside kick and weren't able to recover. Went out of bounds.
Yeah, I got to watch a little bit of this. Texas came firing right off the gate. First play from scrimmage was a Ryan Wingo, I think it was 75-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. One of his 2 catches on the day. I won't get into art. I'll get into arts a little bit later, but it's just nice to see finally him showing that he could be a good quarterback in the SEC. I did want to shout out Diego Pavia. He did ball out in this game. Granted, coming from behind, but 27-38 for 365 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then those 2 touchdowns went to star tight end Eli Stowers, who had 7 catches for 146 yards, along with those 2 touchdowns. But sneaky good game.
Yeah, Stig, you got anything to add?
Yeah, Arch has definitely rebounded nicely. He's the 25th highest overall graded quarterback this year. So despite the scrutiny, he's been performing pretty well, especially as of late. He also had 3 TDs, a little bit more efficient than Pavia was. And the defense, man, they got on Vanderbilt early, and Vanderbilt runs a lot of counters and misdirection and tries to fool you. And Texas is just like, to hell with that. We're just going to blow everything up. Colin Simmons was the ringleader, their outside backer. 90 overall grade, 7 pressures, 1 sack, tackle for loss, and 2 run stops. And like Adam said, I was impressed with Pavia just because in the way that they came back, normally you would think it would have to be his legs, but it was actually his arm.
Yeah, very much so. I can go ahead and cover this one for you. Ohio State beats Penn State 38-14. I watched this game through and through. Joel Klatt said it best about this game. Score at halftime didn't indicate really what was going on. 17-7, fumble at our own goal line. Penn State's able to score, and they tweeted out, like, this is what happens when you pound the rock. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. And then they finished with 55 rushing yards. Absolutely stupid. Sayan finishes with more touchdowns than incompletions in this game. We don't need to say too much about this. Both of Ohio State's receivers, Tate and Smith, both went for 125 and a tutty. Bo Jackson also over 100 rushing. This was the first time Ohio State allowed a touchdown in the first half all season. And then second half, pitched the shutout. Outgained, outscored, outpressured, turnover battle, just completely boa constricted Penn State all the way down. They didn't have a chance. Stiggs, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, and Ohio State called the dogs off in the second half. It could have been a lot worse. To be honest, they took it easy. They just ran the ball. Another week of Julian Sayin being the highest graded quarterback, 92.2. He's only been sacked 3 times all year. Giving him time to dissect the defense is a problem. I do want to shout out Caden McDonald and Edric Houston. Caden McDonald, he has an 86.6 grade on the season. That's tops in the Big 12 for defensive linemen. And Edric Houston, who has been coming on strong as of late, had a 92.5 grade, was a menace all day against Penn State. He was the highest graded defensive tackle of the week for anybody.
Yeah, definitely. And then if I had one from this game, I was going to shout out Arvell Reese. He finished with 13 tackles and 2 sacks. So we can
just typical.
We can go ahead and move on from that one. Trivia time, and Stiggs, you're up this week. You came up with the questions, so we're going to switch, and you take the lead here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's Would You Rather with Stiggs, and no, not that Would You Rather. Would.
You can leave the rather at the door.
Let's go. Goats. So I got a couple of Would You Rather CFB questions, and I want to get your guys' take on it. The first one's kind of a 2-parter. My buddy helped me out with this question, so shout out my boy Jay. Would you rather be a head coach in the Big Ten or SEC? And then once you guys answer, I got a second part to that question.
Ooh, I wonder
That's a great question.
What level
I think it depends. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's just say you're taking over a good program, a top 5 team in either program, in either conference, rather. Sorry.
So essentially, you're taking over Penn State or Florida or something like that. For doing it now.
I'd rather be in the Big Ten.
I'm going for the Big Ten because they're getting paid more money.
I was gonna say Big Ten as well, honestly.
The media deal's bigger.
Bryce?
I said Big Ten.
You said Big Ten as well? Okay.
Yep.
So then this is the second part to that question was better job. What job are you taking, Florida or Penn State? I'm assuming with that answer, you guys would all take Penn State.
Well,
Yeah, that's exactly
yeah.
I'm actually still taking Penn State job. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about LSU or Penn State?
I'd take LSU. Honestly.
Oh man. So here's my thoughts on that. On for LSU or Penn State?
Just for my 2 cents on it,
Yeah.
these are both, established blue bloods that seem to have support, or at least somewhat support. I'm not sure what Penn State NIL is pitching, but I mean, they're recruiting top 10 year after year or close to that. So, assuming everything is equal, LSU is just a better job, in my opinion. Penn State, off Penn State's, glory days was not recent. And LSU has what, two natties in the last 10 years?
See,
So,
I kind of disagree personally. And I completely understand your side of it, but I think that Penn State's been more consistent than LSU.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Well, I mean,
I
LSU is still
think
not
Penn State.
2019 from what they were. This is the first year that Penn State's been under 10 wins in like how many years in full seasons?
That's one of the reasons why I'm taking the Penn State job over LSU is simply because the bottom of the Big Ten is a whole lot worse than the bottom of the SEC.
I disagree with that.
There's easier wins. You have less difficult teams to compete with at the top compared to in the SEC at the top, which is why I would take the Big Ten job, and I would take Penn State over LSU.
I think the bottom of the Big Ten is worse, but not as much worse as what it seems. Like I think some of the bottom SEC teams are hot dog.
two points I wanted to make. Just on one, for the LSU job, for me, the one big reason is that they're the only school in Louisiana, the only big school. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
And there's fertile recruiting grounds. There's a lot of people that grow up wanting to be a Tiger, and it's not even really a recruitment. It's just, hey, we want you. And also, the other point I wanted to make, to the bottom tier SEC and Big Ten teams, I think the differences in talent are minuscule. I think they're close enough to where it's not really a factor, but I will give the SEC advantage to where going to Mississippi State, a typical bottom dweller, they're going to have the cowbells ringing, whether they suck or whether they're good. And, you go to Northwestern, you go to a bottom tier Big Ten school, Rutgers, you're not going to get that environment guaranteed. They're only going to really be like that when they're good.
I agree.
So that's another point that I make, that, to take Big Ten job instead, because it's, like you said, maybe not an easier schedule on talent, but easier road environments.
That's a good point. I think that's super valid because, like you said, going to Northwestern or something isn't the same.
Even Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like those are the two, bottom dwellers I'm thinking of recently, Mississippi State and Arkansas. They're proud fan bases.
Yeah.
And if you look at the path of the playoff, I feel like if you are a top team in the Big Ten, there's a very easy chance or a very good path for you to get there now, with it being a 12-team playoff, compared to if you're having to compete with just a couple of teams from the SEC, you have to be at the top. There is no room for error.
I don't agree with that. I think that the Big Ten had 7 teams ranked on Tuesday, and the SEC had 9, and we were talking about Tennessee. I think they're similar.
Yeah, I think the differences in talent, even top to bottom, are kind of minuscule. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can argue one way or another, but we can all agree that it's the top 2 conferences and the national champions, and probably going to come from there most years from not one of the two.
Yeah, I think of these teams like Washington and Iowa, and people you guys know that Office meme where it's like the one guy standing in the doorway and he says something and it's the same
Sexual
guy.
harassment.
Yeah, the HR thing, like that's the same thing. It's like, hey, I was 7-2, and it's like calling HR versus when it's like,
ranked 3 win Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you're not I'm not convinced that Tennessee's better than Iowa. Like even with the stuff, I don't know if it's like just implemented in people's minds. Like they can't get over that from all the push for 10 plus years. But I don't know. It's just I think it's similar enough, Bryce, and I will give the SEC the edge. I'm not gonna act like I'm not, but I don't think it's that different. Really. Just watching teams play. They played each other plenty of times. Didn't Iowa and
Yeah.
Tennessee just split in bowls with each other like 3 and 4 years ago? One year, one the next year.
I'm not really familiar. I
I
don't
remember them
offhand.
playing. I don't remember what they were. Uh,
I'm
but
pretty.
the reason why I say what I say, now that the SEC is moving to 9 conference games, and like you said, having different road environments, there's just a better chance that you getting a good pool of teams that you could get to play in conference in the Big Ten versus the SEC. There's a real chance you could play, uh, like, especially with how teams are this year, like a Wisconsin, Michigan State, Rutgers, Purdue, like UCLA, Northwestern, teams like that. Whereas depending on the pool you get in the SEC, you could get like Bama, Georgia. Like you can stack those teams up top. And even if you drop to the bottom, you can get like Florida. This is considered a bad year for Florida, and they're still not a horrible team. They've they've competed in just about every game they've been in this year. They just haven't had things go their way. I think being at Penn State and being in the Big Ten, I think that'd just be a better job. I think it would be easier to win at, and it would be better to go into the postseason being at a school like Penn State versus LSU.
I get that, but like I think to the same part of your point, like if you told me my next 4 games are Mississippi State, Auburn, Kentucky, and Arkansas, I don't fear any of those teams to play, or even Florida. They're 3 and 5, like you said. Like this is a down year for them. They've had a lot of down years for the last 15 years, then, because they've done this more than not. Like they've had a couple years where they're a little bit better, but like the only difference is the environment. That's it. I literally think
Well,
those are the
I
same
would
level
say
as schools.
the talent level on the bottom tier of those teams is a
I don't
little bit
think
better
it's
than the
that
talent
different,
level
though.
at the
Really,
bottom.
I still don't think it's that big of a difference. But
You think the talent level at Mississippi State is equal to the talent level at Purdue?
well, Mississippi State is 5 and 4. Purdue's 2 and 7. Compare them to Kentucky or Arkansas.
Kentucky. All right, even Kentucky.
Yeah, I think they're
Arkansas
comparable.
has a lot of talent on their roster.
If you're asking me between Purdue and Kentucky, I don't think it'll be as big of a gap as what you think it is.
I think there's a pretty big gap there. That's just my opinion on
You watch
All
too
right,
much
well,
ESPN.
good to
I'm just kidding.
so
it. Not anymore, actually.
That's right.
that was a good discussion, boys. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to this next question. All right. So you got your program. Now you're the head coach, right? Or well, no, you're not the head coach. I'm asking you. You got your program. Would you rather have a head coach that is a recruiting guru but falls short with in-game strategy, i.e., Mario Cristobal, or would you rather have a coach who is a master tactician but struggles at recruiting, or just maybe doesn't give as much effort as he should have, kind of like Brian Kelly?
I got a lag spike. What do you?
I think that's
I'll
a
let you
good one.
guys go
That's
first.
tough.
I'm actually gonna go with the recruiter, personally.
I agree with Paul. Give me the Jimmies and Joes, and I'll try and get the best out of them.
Yep. I mean, the talent's already there. It's on you to figure out what to do with it at that point, instead of trying to make the most out of nothing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna go with that.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah, you have to be a pretty bad coach to mess up having elite recruiting if you have great recruiting at one of these schools like you're talking about.
One could argue though that if you have good coaching, then the recruits will come when they see the success of the team, or
That's
just
true.
the style you play.
That's true. That's true. Or
Bryce,
the
are you
other side-
agreeing?
Bryce?
Yeah, I don't necessarily I would probably lean that way just because if you have talent, you can compete with pretty much anybody in the country. Even if coaching wise, like you're a little bit like you said, Mario Cristobal, you could screw it up. At least it's on you. It's not on your players or your team. It's on you and the coaching staff to figure that one out. So instead of being able to have or know what needs to get done and not have the guys produce, you know your guys can produce. It's all on you. I'd rather be the recruiter in that stage.
Alrighty.
Yep. Go ahead.
All right, my last one. Would you rather take over a blue blood So I'm talking like an established, you know who they are. Take over a blue blood with about 60% of the NIL backing compared to top teams like Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas Tech, or take over a mediocre P5 team, but you have an equal budget to the top spenders. Would you some would argue that the blue bloods, like Ohio State in particular, I'm going to use this as an example. Let's just say Oregon wants the top receiver in the nation and offers them 750K. Well, if Ohio State wants that same receiver, they could probably get away with paying them 200K, knowing that they'll be a first round pick in 3 years. So some could argue blue bloods get discounts at positions that they excel at developing, or just for being Alabama, being Ohio State, being Georgia. So what do you guys think? Me personally, I'm going to take the blue blood, and I'm going to take what I can get with the discounts and try and, build more on culture than dollars. I know it's probably the wrong route to take in the new era of college football, but that's just my take on it. What do you guys say?
I agree with you 100%. I think that there's more culture on stuff than people realize, because a lot of the teams before NIL that were really good are still the same teams that are really good now. The culture has to be there. These kids who want to go to the NFL, there's a reason that they're picking Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State to go to than these other schools. If you want to make it to the league, these teams have been, and schools have been putting guys in the league for 50 years. That's where you want to go. That's how
I think this depends on which conference you're going to be in, because when you say like a mediocre team, would you consider Ole Miss a mediocre team?
I wouldn't consider them mediocre, but I wouldn't consider them a blue blood. I'm saying, I guess maybe I should have rephrased the question to like an established program or a non-established program. So I'm saying, would you what I was thinking was, would you rather take over like Ohio State or Oregon or Penn State, or go the Cignetti route?
Gotcha.
But if you were at the bigger school, you would have 60% of the budget that the smaller school person would have.
I gotcha. I think it's an interesting question, because if you are a team in the Big 12 or ACC, there's a chance that if you had 100% funding behind you, you could take over and dominate that league. And then, like I was talking about earlier, in the postseason, you could be there every year. If you were having to compete against some of the top teams, one of those mediocre teams in the Big Ten or the SEC, that would be a little bit more challenging. Like you could fall behind, and I feel like you couldn't really get there. But if I had to answer and pick one answer, I think I would probably take I'd probably take the mediocre job to compete, just because the expectation on you is not there. You can always build the expectation up, kind of like how Indiana has done. Right now, they are expected to win, and as long as Curt Cignetti's there, that's what the expectation is at Indiana. You could be a team that, like TCU a couple of years ago, come out of nowhere, be a mediocre team, and then they were the face of the conference for a year and a half until they fell back off of it again. So I think building a team up and having full funding and the ability to come up out of nowhere would benefit you a little bit more than if you were to take over a top team and start slowing down or let down expectations, given with all your resources.
That's a good.
I like it. Yeah, that's a really good take. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Fakes. I'm gonna take the mediocre route, because like, I know you guys probably don't consider UC mediocre, but imagine Cincinnati with as much NIL as like an Ohio State, or because the Cincinnati area, as you guys all know, has really good high school recruiting, or teams, I should say, sorry. And when we were making the run to the playoff, that's who we relied on. Nowadays, a lot of these Cincinnati kids are not coming here. Just for a perfect example, we had an elder linebacker committed here and then flipped to Virginia. I feel like if we had more NIL money it could help lock those Cincinnati kids in and then build the culture back to where it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, Fakes had a really good shout. That I didn't even think of it that route. But yeah, imagine having Ohio State NIL at Wake Forest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could build a powerhouse in 2 years. Yeah, that was a really good take.
without
But yeah,
the expectation either.
right, exactly. Just like Indiana. Like Indiana has expectations now, but that's because of what was done in such quick amount of time.
Would it be fair to say that the second option and what Fake said, getting this NIL boost 100% at one of these schools is exactly what Texas Tech is right now?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm so glad you brought that up because that was the point that I was going to make, but I forgot. You can see the reason I asked the question is that you're starting to see that both ways can work. I don't know about you guys last year. I'm sure Notre Dame is very competitive in the NIL, but I never saw them as like, top spenders in NIL or, on the top 10 list, I never saw them there. So I think that there's, something to be said for tradition and culture and maybe not spending as much as the big boys. But then there's Texas Tech who's like, we're trying to become that. So we're going to spend like we are. And you're seeing their success right now too. So yeah, that's all I got for the questions though.
Yeah, that's it. That was a great job, Stiggs. Really, really well done. Here's the counter I have to that, real quickly though, and not even trying to say it in any way. NIL is huge and great and definitely a big part of college football now, but the common theme of the last two national champions is that they have the most returning starters in college football. A lot of NIL is to retain these rosters, not just go out to get them.
That's a good point.
And you know what's crazy is everyone in that thought that same vein that you were thinking this year, they were picking Penn State, they were picking Clemson, they were picking Illinois to make noise because of how much starters were coming back. And that's just proven that it might not be the case because honestly, Ohio State might be more talented than they were last year, this year.
I think they are.
And they lost everybody. They lost like 20 starters. Like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was a really good question. I'm glad that we brought that up. Good job, Sticks. It's a W.
Thank you. I'm glad we had some good answers too. Good stuff.
Yeah. Let's see here. Players of the week. Man, Sketchy's trying to butter me up with these pictures, isn't he?
Yeah, he did the opposite. He picked the Indiana when Oregon lost for the players of the week. Sketty makes his choices.
Yeah, it's all right. Hey, I don't push any agendas to him. So let's start with you, Adam. Who's your player of the week?
I am going with Arch Manning. Texas, I did say I'd get to him later, and here's where we are. He went 25 of 33 for 328 yards and 3 touchdowns. A really, really nice game when they really needed it because they're playing on pretty much thin ice. They cannot lose another game. And if he shows up to play like this against Georgia or Texas A&M, they could very well beat both of those teams.
Yeah. Arch has been really good. I don't disagree there. He's only getting better as the year goes on. A lot of the off-season hype kind of really fed into it. Let the kid develop some. That was the first, few starts and everything. Stiggs?
Yeah, I'm glad Adam shouted out Arch, and I'm also glad he shouted out Eli Stowers in his game breakdown earlier because I was going to make sure he got a shout out. He balled out. I like his prospects for an NFL tight end in the first 2 rounds. My player of the week, though, is going to be Duke quarterback Darian Mensah. He had a lot of hype coming into the year. They had a crazy game with Clemson where they ended up coming out on top, but he had 361 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and his offensive line is really bad. So he had to earn every bit of that. So shout out Darian Mensah.
Another good pick there. I was debating on taking him. I was looking at it. He was on my list. Then you sent it. I was like, I should have known. Stiggs is a ball knower. He was going to take someone like that. Bryce, who you got?
My player of the week is North Texas running back Caleb Hawkins. He ran for almost 200 yards with 4 touchdowns, and North Texas win over an undefeated Navy. So he's my player of the week.
Yeah, that was a crazy stat. Yeah, go ahead, Six.
I was just gonna say, has been a G5 GOAT before.
Yeah.
Mentioned multiple times on this podcast. He's a stud.
Yeah, my player of the week is someone who has not been mentioned on this podcast. And if I would have told you this was my player of the week 2 weeks ago, Adam, you probably would have laughed in my face. My player of the week is Arizona
Jeff
State
Sims.
quarterback Jeff Sims. Look, and I'm not exaggerating. This guy ran for 228 rushing yards, had 2 touchdowns on the ground, 13 of 24 passing, 177 yards, another touchdown through the air. How many of us expected with Levitt going out that this was going to be a done deal? And Sims comes out there with, what is that, over 350 all-purpose yards, 3 touchdowns?
Did you see what they did with his jersey?
I did not.
Okay, good. I'm glad. This is another good story that I found. So his jersey was all stained up, turf stains, grass. He had 200 rushing yards. He carried the ball
Yeah.
a bunch. So a fan actually tagged the athletic director or someone in the administration and was like, "This jersey should never be washed. Hang this up in the ASU Hall of Fame." And the dude responded, the AD, and was like, "That's a great idea. Done." So yeah, that's now in the Arizona State Hall of Fame. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Oh,
my bad. My fault.
you're good. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say, what makes this even more impressive that Arizona State didn't even have Jordan Tyson in this game.
Mm-hmm.
He was hurt as well, and Jeff Sims of all people balled out anyway.
Bro, 288 rushing yards.
Hey, shout out Shaman Mateer as well. He had 68 yards and a touchdown. Former Bearcat.
I would like to point out one thing with this game with Jeff Sims, and this is no knock against him. He did throw 1 interception, and he had 2 fumbles that he lost. But with that being said, he willed Arizona State to the victory, and for that alone, him being able to step in and fill the shoes, like you said, with Levitt being gone, was absolutely crazy. Him running for over 200 plus on the ground is phenomenal. I can't believe he was able to do that, and he willed this victory for Arizona State.
Yeah, rightfully so. Upset of the week here, everybody. Who is it that you are going with? We'll start with Sigs.
We're going back to the Maryland well, baby. I'm taking Maryland over Rutgers. I can't believe Rutgers was even the favorite. I think Malik Washington's going to bail me out this time. Go Terps.
Yeah, they got to come through once, right? They got to come through
It's
once.
time. It's
Adam.
time.
Yeah, this one is disgusting, but give me Florida State over Clemson.
I like it.
Nasty.
Yeah. Bryce.
I'm taking Kentucky over Florida. Yeah.
No, that's a good one. I'm taking the Citadel over Ole Miss. So it's
Huge upset
Crazy.
performance. There's not even a spread for that game.
Win
I
the-
saw
win the
53
game.
and a half today.
It's 53.5.
Oh my God. The sports book that I was looking at didn't even have a spread. And they're just like, we're not losing any money on this, not even 50 cents.
Yeah, they don't even want to risk it. No, but it works out good. Stigs, your goats of the group. It's the time.
The goats of the group. All right, let's do it. I do want to quickly, I'm going to shout out a couple people for their season accolades before I shout out the actual goats of the group. Starting off with UConn quarterback Joe Fagnano. Fagnano, don't know how to say that. Had to be real careful with how I did say it. He has accounted for 22 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. Really efficient quarterback. They played Duke this week, and him and Mensa have combined for 46 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So very interesting matchup coming up. And I also want to shout out Jacksonville State running back Cam Cook. He's the first running back to hit 1,000 yards this year. He hit it last week when we were talking on the pod. He has 1,054, averaging 134 a game. Thank you, Fakes, to taking work off my plate. Shouting out Caleb Hawkins. I have another four touchdown running back for you. The Liberty Flames running back, Evan Dickens. He posted a 22, 217, 4 touchdowns in a big Conference USA win over Delaware. Lastly, during the podcast as well last week, UTSA throttled Tulane, and their quarterback, Owen McCown, was super, super impressive. Listen to this. 31 of 33. That's right. Only 2 incompletions, a 94% completion percentage, and 4 touchdowns. They're getting throttled by USF right now, though.
I was going to say, I think they're good now.
Yeah. USF saw those initial rankings and was like, nah, we got to lock in here. Very quickly. Next week, I do want to shout out a couple matchups. Big one in the Mountain West: San Diego State versus Hawaii. This is number 1 versus number 4. San Diego State being in first. The Aztecs have a defensive back, Chris Johnson. He's been locked down. He is top 10 in forced incompletion percentage, the lowest passer rating when targeted at 17.5. 1 forced fumble, 3 picks. I'm very interested to see how he performs against the air raid attack. Hawaii quarterback Michael Alihado has been a G5 GOAT. Pop-off potential is there for Hawaii. Intriguing matchup. And then I also want to put JMU on upset alert.
Ooh.
JMU is playing Marshall. Marshall, they did lose to Coastal last week. Before that, they had put up 40 or more points 5 weeks in a row. So that offense with quarterback Carlos Del Rio Wilson is something to watch out for. So just wanted to put that on the radar. I'm not predicting it, but put it on the radar.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about JMU, and also I am excited for that San Diego State Hawaii game because Hawaii's actually coming off getting upset by San Jose State last week. So are they going to be able to bounce back? Yeah, I got a little group of foreknowledge, but yeah, that's exciting. I was going to ask you about JMU specifically because now I'm starting to see some hype build around them. If they can win out, they might be the Group of 5 representative.
So yeah, they currently in my rankings, I have them 3rd, but I've seen a lot of Group of 5 accounts that I follow and stuff. The biggest one, the Group of 5 Guys podcast, they have JMU ranked 1st ahead of Memphis. I do want to note an impressive stat for James Madison. They have not allowed a team over 300 yards of total offense all year. It's including Louisville. Even though they lost that game, they are amazing at making second half adjustments. Alonzo Barrett, the 4th, amazing quarterback, dual threat. So I'm excited to see what they can do. If the American beats each other up like they might, JMU can definitely swoop in there from the Sun Belt.
Yeah, and just real quickly here before we move on, you said you have JMU in your 3. Who is your top 5?
My top 5 right now: Memphis, Tulane. Tulane lost, so I for some reason still have them too. But it's Memphis, USF, JMU, San Diego State, North Texas.
Gotcha.
Tulane is going to be 6th. I also have Eastern Carolina, Navy, Southern Miss, and Jacksonville State to round that out.
Gotcha. All right, I was just intrigued. All right, Bryce, you're up. Accurate or BS? Another gas me up slide here. I'll take that.
Accurate or BS? This year's college football top 25 team. And I guess you could say just across the entire country, but if you want to dial it down, top 25 is the worst group of teams we've seen in the past 25 years.
I'm calling BS right away.
I will follow up. What year you think was worse than what we've had this year?
2007.
See, that was one of the first years that came to my mind too, and the first thing I thought was, wow, there was a couple good teams that year.
I think there's a couple more than just a couple good teams this year, though. I don't think a lot of those 2000s teams were nearly as deep as what we have now.
Like early 2000s?
Yeah, I would probably say around that. I mean,
whatever year.
Go ahead.
Or I was just gonna say, whatever year Michigan State made the playoff, that year.
2015.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say 2014. So yeah, 2015. Michigan State played Iowa in the Big Ten. What happened, Paul?
6-3, bro. We lost to Michigan State. Zeke got 11 carries. Yeah, that's when that happened, bro.
Oh
Um,
man.
I don't know
I don't.
why people are assuming teams are so bad now. Like, I don't think that it's really changed that much. We went from old quarterbacks to young ones, and that was like the only big change.
I say this because this year, without a doubt, has been the toughest year for me ranking teams. Like once I get past the top 15 teams, it's hard for me to find teams that deserve to be ranked. Does that make sense? Like,
No, I get
I
that.
feel like there are not 25 teams worthy of being ranked this year, whereas previously it hasn't been like I've been having to fight and pick and choose who's going to be ranked just because there were so many.
I
I,
don't I don't disagree with you. I don't think there's a way for me to actually call accurate or BS on this question just because I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough in the last 25 years, considering I was like 8 when a couple of these happened, you know. But I will say that I think this crop of the top 25 is way more top heavy, and the other, previous 25 is probably more parity, if that makes sense.
so
Yeah, that's fair.
here's my counter to kind of both of what you guys said, and maybe I'm wrong when I say this, but maybe we're just either overrating or underrating some of these teams. Um, some of these teams 15 to 25 might still be really good teams. That you're saying you just have it in your head that these teams probably aren't that good. I mean, when you compare them to the top 5 teams, sure, but I don't think that there's such a big drop off between number 13 and number 23. Like I don't think there's such a like, oh man, these two teams they played, I wouldn't really know what's going on. I think that maybe some of these teams are getting reps for, I don't know, brands or like other things where these are probably actually pretty solid teams.
I don't hate that. I feel like this year there has been. I feel like it's kind of I don't want to say top heavy, but
It
there's
is
been
though.
very few teams this year that have proved themselves. And I feel like if you were to take these teams against years prior, they wouldn't even compete. Especially if you start looking back, I think since the playoff era began, this is a this is the worst group of playoff teams that we could have possibly had since 2014. Uh, if you were just to look at who everybody is, like if you were to put the top 12 right now versus the top 12 in 2014 or 2015. I know you said that was a down year, but I mean that year had Alabama. Like if I was to read from top, 13-0 Clemson, Bama was 12-1, Michigan State's 12-1, OU's 11-1, Iowa was 12-1, Stanford was 11-2, Ohio State 11-1. I mean these were good teams. I don't know. I just kind of feel like this year has been a down year for college football teams compared to previous years.
I think though that if we were always 12, we would have very similar to what it is now. The 14 playoff were always elite because they were the top elite teams, and sometimes we knew there was going to be blowouts even in that. But like,
And it's
I-
not fair for me to ask this question kind of mid-season. I guess that's a good point. We don't know how everybody's going to finish.
yeah.
Teams could be finished way better. Teams could finish way worse. We don't know yet.
Well, let
But
me ask you this, Bryce. Last year, did you think that SMU was going to win their playoff game, or Boise, or Clemson? Because I didn't. Like, I thought we
I didn't
knew
think,
even in that. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's completely fair. I didn't think they'd win it. But last year, there were teams that were still pretty good last year. I mean, Georgia wasn't a bad team. Ohio State obviously was a good team. Uh, you had Notre Dame. Texas was okay.
Oregon
I
was
mean,
number
Tennessee.
one all year.
I know. I mean, they were
Yeah,
elite
that's
teams.
accurate. Or Oregon would beat any team. That Oregon team beat its any team.
Would you take Oregon last year, Dave, versus any team this year?
No,
What teams this year do you think could beat last year's Oregon?
all of them, including Oregon.
So you got
I don't
Oregon
think
this year better than last year?
100%,
Hmm.
100%, even with the loss. I think the line would probably stop at like, I don't know, BYU, Texas Tech, Ole Miss. But yeah, I would take the top. I would take the top 5 for sure. At least my top 5, like
You
Ohio
mind me
State,
asking
Indiana.
why? What's your reasoning?
Yeah, I mean they got
Texas
blown.
A&M.
They got blown. They got their back blown out in the Rose Bowl. It's one of the worst number 1 overall teams of all time. There's no argument.
Do you think
They barely beat.
that happened because they played in the regular season?
What's that?
You think that happened because they played in the regular season? Do you think that them playing one was a disadvantage for Oregon?
No, it had everything to do with just Ohio State losing that to Michigan and like waking them up, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's valid.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate on last year's Oregon team. It's just they got blown out by the 8 seed. Like even though they were as talented as can be, it's just yeah, it's not what you would want to see from a number. And no other number 1 overall team went out like that.
Well, Alabama did lose also when they were number 1 in 2014 to a lower seeded Ohio State team. Maybe it's just a
By
curse.
by 95.
No, not by that much, but
Adam's been awfully quiet.
I'm just listening to y'all yap, man.
No, this is a good topic. I'm kind of surprised by that too a little bit, Dave, because I know the Rose Bowl ended how it did, but I mean, for what 95% of the year, I mean, you guys were pretty dominant.
Yeah, maybe it's just a revisionist way of looking at it, but yeah, I mean, just the way that it ended, it just it's hard to look back at last season as positive at all.
Would you say the same
Even
thing
if
for
it-
Tennessee, Bryce?
what? Tennessee last year being good? What?
Or let's see, SMU or one of those teams? Like, I'm just thinking, like, I don't know, maybe that's a good question to bring up on a future pod, like, because the way your season ends always kind of either leaves a good taste or a bad taste in your mouth. But I don't know if it defines the entire season. Like, so I mean, like Tennessee last year, I think they were okay, but I mean, are they thinking like how Stiggs is thinking, or is Clemson thinking like that, or is SMU thinking like, you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting. But good question, Bryce. I think we can revisit that once the season's over.
Yeah. Adam, what was your opinion on it?
I kind of agree with what Paul said, to be honest.
I don't know. There's just some teams that they seem. We'll have to finish out the year and just see, because maybe, I mean, when you're in those seasons, some teams aren't as good as their ranking, you think, or their record, and it ends up being true or not true. So, guess we'll just have to see what 12 get in this year.
Yep.
And how the games go. But, all right, we're here for our preview. Let's start in the group. Let's start with our locks of the week. Stiggs, I want you to go first.
We will stay in the group. My lock of the week is the Kennesaw State Owls versus New Mexico State. They are minus 9.5 when I checked. They've gotten wins, but they haven't looked particularly the best. But that is because they've gone back and forth with their quarterbacks. They've finally settled in on Amari Odom, who definitely gives them the best chance to win. Give me Kennesaw State with the Veer and Hoot offense.
Yeah, a bowl eligible for the first time. Kennesaw State.
Weren't they bowl
That's
eligible
crazy.
last year? They just couldn't participate?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they still should probably win one more game just to feel safe, because they do allocate the bowl spots to power teams before G5 teams.
Yeah, that's scrutiny. That's racist or something.
Yeah.
Somehow.
That's gotta be racist.
Yeah, it's gotta be somehow. Adam, lock of the week.
I'm going with the Houston Cougars minus 1.5 against UCF. I know Houston dominated. I'm just going to put it out there. Dominated by West Virginia last week, which that shouldn't happen, especially if you're at home, but this UCF team is bad. Like, Taven Jackson, I think he's still starting. He's just not very good. That offense can't score. So I think Houston can easily cover that 1.5, even in Orlando.
Bryce?
The lock of the week is Indiana minus 13.5 over Penn State.
Ooh, interesting.
I think Indiana's going to dominate.
All right.
They're going to give them the business.
My lock of the week, call me biased if you want. I'm going to take Ohio State to cover against Purdue. The line is 29.5. The reason I'm picking Ohio State to cover against Purdue is because I feel like I was overthinking it. They're 7-0-1 against the spread. I'm just going to take my chances. Watch, it'll be the 1 week it doesn't hit. That's literally my only reasoning on
That would be
'cause
unfortunate.
I didn't really like too many other ones that weren't that what we were picking or what you guys already had. So it's just like,
Yeah, there wasn't many great options.
yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm like, okay, I guess.
Caster Cursed has been summoned. They played Michigan tough last week.
It's first come, first serve here.
Yeah, that is
You don't
true.
claim it, it's gone.
It is at Purdue too. You guys know those hostile bottom level Big Ten environments.
All having Purdue flashbacks.
Yeah, I don't need to see what's his name again. I try to forget him. Oh man, what was his name? Or wide receiver for Purdue. I'm sorry.
Was it Rondell Moore?
It was Rondell Moore. Yep. I do not need to see him running anymore. It's in my sleep. We'll stay with the group here though, Stiggs. Interesting game here. We got Tulane and Memphis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very excited about this one. So these guys are both in top five. They're both in my top five. I'm sorry, Tulane I have at 6, but they're both in the top 5 in terms of representing the G5 in the playoff odds. Tulane's offense is built through their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff. He's the team's leading rusher. You wouldn't believe it. But it is also the second most efficient passer in terms of the intermediate range. Those are passes 10 to 19 yards. Their game plan is going to be definitely get him involved in both facets early and often. Memphis is going to have a similar game plan with their own dual threat quarterback, Brendan Lewis. He has the third most number of explosive runs for a quarterback, which is 26, and that is yards that are 10 plus. Tulane has struggled with mobile QBs. 3 QBs have gone over 50 yards rushing against them. I think that's going to be the X factor. Give me Memphis.
I'm also going to go with Memphis. I like Memphis at home. Tulane, I don't trust them as much. I do like the Tigers here. They're starting to ride a hot streak after upsetting USF. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I think it's USF, right? They were able to upset them. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Memphis. They seem to be tough at home. Bryce. Tulane at Memphis. Adam,
and I just want to add. I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if John Summerall bounces back and gets Tulane back on track after they got blown out by UTSA. So I think it's going to be a close one either way. But I am going to lean Memphis.
Yeah, it's hard to take them at home away. Take any team but Memphis at home. And I'm not sure if I did say it before, but do you guys need the line? It is minus 3.5 for Memphis as of right now, and this does kick off tomorrow night. Over under 54.5. Bryce.
I'm taking Memphis in this game. I think right now they're better, but I don't know if y'all heard the Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfeld just took the Arkansas job. So I don't know how much that's going to play into the game. I think honestly that might be why the spread is so low, 3.5, instead of being a little bit higher. But we'll see. I still like Memphis in this game.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Memphis in this game. Keep it short and sweet and just go Tigers.
Go Tigers. All right, we'll stay with you here, Adam. We got Navy at Notre Dame. Navy coming off their first loss. Notre Dame coming off a win. By the way, Bryce, you're not going to fool me. I saw it was 12-10 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. I saw it.
That wasn't accurate. The game was bigger blowout than it looked.
I saw it. But
honestly,
with that being said, Notre Dame is 26.5-point favorites. Over under 55.5. This is a Saturday night game. Go ahead, Bryce.
I was going to say that game with Boston College, Notre Dame only had 9 possessions. They had 10 possessions, but the 10th one was them kneeling the ball and getting out of there. They had nine touches that game, and out of the nine, Uh, they scored 5 out of the 9 times, and the other 2 times were punts, and the 2 after that were missed field goals. So that game was a lot closer than what it looked, even though Notre Dame dominated both sides of the ball. That being said, Navy doesn't stand a chance. Notre Dame's going to disrespect the troops and walk away with a W.
Are they going to cover?
Um,
26.5.
yeah, they are.
Okay. Adam?
Well, that's one way to put it, Bryce.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Notre Dame as well. I think they roll to an easy win.
I'm also going to take Notre Dame. Keep it short and sweet there. Stiggs.
Yeah, I'm going to take Notre Dame too, but I do want to throw a stat out there just because Notre Dame defense hasn't been the same as you would expect them to be. Navy's ability is to stay on the field. They are fourth in the country in third down efficiency. They hit on 54% of their third downs. But Navy did just give up over 200 yards to North Texas, and North Texas isn't really known for their run game. They're known for slinging the pill. As Messmaker threw for 600 yards, so they didn't have to. So I think Notre Dame will be able to run if North Texas could.
I agree. I just now realized I did not give my upset pick of the week. I'm so sorry. I skipped right over it. Someone mentioned it. My upset pick of the week, I'm going to take Kansas over Arizona on the road. I think it's about that time of year for Kansas and Leipold to start getting the end of the year win streak where they beat teams 3-4 in a row and then just fade out. 5.5 point spread. I'm just going to take Kansas. Sorry for the late notice on that, guys. Next game, we're going to go ahead to a game that was supposed to be big, maybe 3-4 weeks ago. LSU at Alabama. This is the night game. Bama favored by 10. Over under 49.5. 7:30 kickoff. Stiggs, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I always think these games are so hard to call after the coach gets fired because it's like, are they going to get the interim coach buff with what we've been seeing? You know, a lot of the interim coaches, they come out with the juice and get the win. I'm not really sure how LSU is going to come out. The matchup I'm looking for, though, is LSU's DBs versus Bama's wide receivers. Bama's got Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, really good playmakers. LSU has Mansour Delane, who I think might be the best cornerback in football. And Ty Simpson does make plays in the pass game, but I think he's kind of been bailing them out because their run game hasn't been efficient. LSU defense, they blitz heavy, and Bama does allow pressure at the 74th rate in the country. So not best. Ty Simpson does look more shaky under the blitz. He has 6 turnover-worthy plays, and they're all coming against pressure. I like Bama here, but I'm going to say it's kind of going to be like the Florida UGA game last week where it's just these two teams. I don't know if they necessarily have a rivalry, but they have kind of as of late, and I think it'll be close because of that.
Yeah, and also just a fun fact here, Public Bet has 62% of LSU covering, plus 10. Um, I am going to lean Bama here to go ahead and cover. I don't trust LSU to score the ball. So I'm going to go ahead and take Bama to win and cover. I don't think it'll be something insane, maybe like a 24-10 or something like that. But like you said, Bama struggles to run the ball, man, and it's getting more and more apparent each week. Bryce.
I'll keep this short. Roll Tide. I've been heartbroken and lost on LSU. I had faith in them going into the season. I thought they could be something, and they turned out to be crap and fired their coach. So, Bama's going to win this one.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet as well. Give me Alabama.
Yeah, I don't think I said my pick, by the way. I'm picking Bama, but don't be surprised. I'm reading some tea leaves, listening to a podcast that has heavy affiliations with LSU. You could see their backup quarterback, Michael Van Buren, in this game. Just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I did not know about that, but is there something wrong with Nuss? Is he still battling that injury, or are they just thinking about testing something new?
I think they're thinking about just testing something new,
Oh,
from what
okay.
I hear.
interesting game here, Adam. I'll start with you. Texas A&M at Missouri. This is a 3:30 kick on ABC. A&M favored by 6.5 on the road. Over under 48.5.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. I think Texas A&M will go into Missouri and come out with a victory.
I'm gonna go ahead and go next, and I'll keep it short and sweet too. I think this is where A&M stubs their toe. I got Missouri in an upset. I was gonna pick this as like my upset pick of the week, but it's one of our games,
That's crazy.
and I think Missouri's able to do it. The thing is with A&M, their last couple games they haven't played since that LSU game. LSU doesn't seem to be who they really were before that. Um, as good as A&M has been, we've talked about it before, Stiggs. I think that there is a game where they stub their toe, and I think that this is it. I think Missouri is their backs against the wall, 2 losses. The way that it looked for them, they just really outplayed Vandy just to lose. But I think this is a slip up game for A&M more than anything. Stiggs?
Yeah, when you have a running back like Ahmad Hardy, anything can happen in this game. My matchup to watch is Marcel Reed versus this Missouri defense in terms of play action pass. He has an 88.2 grade versus play action throws, which is 17th in the country. It drops off very, very low to about 50 after on traditional dropbacks. Missouri is a top 15 coverage unit in traditional dropbacks, but that drops to 92nd on play action. So interesting to see if A&M can use their run game to set up big shots to Craver and Casey Concepcion. I do want to say I like Missouri's young quarterback, Matt Zollers. He has enormous potential. I remember hearing his name like in the recruiting circles. He was a 5-star on some of the recruiting sites. And A&M's defense does allow 5.7 yards per carry. So that is their one weakness. And, Ahmad Hardy's pretty freaking good. So we'll see what happens there. I'm gonna take A&M. I've been kind of high on them all year. So yeah, I'm gonna keep riding the Aggies and Mike Elko.
Yeah, not a bad pick at all. I do think Hardy is on pace. He's at 937 yards, so he could be the next one to break 1,000 after Cam Cook in this. But I mean, you guys might disagree with me, but I think Reed's been good, but I think he's starting to get a little overhyped. I don't think he's playing at the level of Ty Simpson or any of those guys. He's been playing pretty good, but not quite at that level. And like you said, I trust Hardy as long as they don't commit malpractice where they try to keep those. I think Missouri's going to need, turnovers, one or two, and then really pound the rock. But I mean, I got to change it up a little bit. Are you going to change it up at all? Was it Adam or Bryce who's up next? I'm sorry.
I am.
You are Bryce.
And I'm taking Missouri in this game. Here's why. I thought I was gonna be the only one, and you not only did we both do the same thing. This was gonna be my upset pick, and then as I was typing it out, I was like, "Oh, I can't do this game" because I figured it was gonna be on here. So both these teams can score a lot of points. Texas A&M's averaging 37 points per game. Missouri's averaging 35. But what stands out to me is the defense. Missouri's holding teams to 16 points per game, and Texas A&M's holding teams to 23 points per game. Knowing the information we know and looking at who they played, Texas A&M has not been tested yet at all. Their best win was at Notre Dame. I'll give them that. Notre Dame can't kick an extra point. They lost that game on a fluky end of the game call, whatever. Outside of that, the teams they have played are 4-5, 4-4, 4-5, 5-4, 3-5, 2-7, 5-3. They have not been tested at all this year. Missouri, on the other hand, they have played Bama. Close loss, easily could have won that game. They had lost at Vandy. Close loss, easily could have won that game. There's a real chance Missouri is undefeated right now, and they're more battle tested than Texas A&M is. And I think Missouri is going to walk away with a W and shock everyone.
Except me and you.
Except us.
Yeah. So next game here, we got Stiggs. I'm gonna let you take the helm at this one because he's coming off a bye week. But Oregon at Iowa, 3:30 kick, over under sitting at a low 42.5. Oregon, the Ducks favored by 6.5 on the road at Kinnick. Top 20 matchup. Stiggs.
Can't, can't lie to you, man. I'm worried about this one a little bit. So there was weather, and the last time you saw Oregon against Wisconsin, there was a little bit of weather. Monsoon, some would say. There's going to be more weather in Kinnick with a chance of snow at the end of the night. Um, Wisconsin plays a physical brand of football, and Oregon has struggled with that the past 2 years. And I would consider Iowa like super Wisconsin.
Mm.
This is only the third top 25 matchup in Kinnick since 2010. That place will be bouncing. Iowa's offense, they're not the best in terms of throwing the ball, but they do have an elite offensive line and an elite run game. Their offensive line will probably win the Joe Moore Award. And all the offense will have to go through the big hog mollies up front to show them some life. And this will be Oregon's toughest test, even I think tougher than Indiana, in terms of the offensive physicality from the line that they're going to face. In terms of Oregon, their run game has been incredible. And I think it's kind of been overshadowed because they don't have one back that's kind of particularly leading the show. They've been using a stable, but they're first in EPA per play, per rush play, and they're third in the nation and averaging 6.7 yards per carry. And as a team, and individually, Noah Whittington is third in the country, averaging 8.5 yards per carry. And then another running back, true freshman Jordan Davison, he has the third highest rushing grade in the country. So a trio of threes there for you in Oregon's running game. They're top three in a lot of stats. And I think they're going to be able to run it here. I think that's going to be what determines this game. If they aren't able to run it, the X factor is going to be Dante Moore versus zone coverage. Indiana runs a lot of zone, and that's where he struggled last. Iowa also runs a lot of zone. So that's another interesting matchup to see. After listening to everybody kind of talk about it, before the pod, reading some comments in the chat, I'm going Oregon. I'm going Oregon to cover. I'm going Oregon belt to ass.
Ooh, shut up.
They need
Yeah.
they need this game. They need them to make a statement. That playoff seeding isn't crediting them for the Penn State win. So I don't know if you heard the one of the coordinators for Iowa State kind of made a Gundy-esque comment in the media today too. So I think that's going to fire up Dan Lanning and the troops. I hope I'm not wrong.
I'm gonna follow you up and say the exact same thing, Stiggs. I think Oregon wins and covers. I think this is almost like a statement game. Like, hey, we are still Oregon. This is who we are. It's crazy. Iowa's the same team every year, aren't they? You got to give them some credit, right? Ferentz and the co. They are the same team every year. Here we are sitting, second weekend of November, and they're 6-2 once again. They're gonna
Kirk
have
Ferentz is also 6-1 versus top 10 opponents at Kinnick.
Kinnick is not an easy place to play as a top team. I mean, we had to bring up Purdue before. Now we have to bring up Iowa again. Thanks, guys. But no, I think Oregon. This is a statement game. Like you said, the running game. The thing for Iowa, I just cannot trust their offense to do jack squat of anything. And also, what people might be forgetting though here before Bryce brings up what it is, what he picks and everything. This was by far Indiana's. I mean, Iowa was in a realistic shot to win the game against Indiana at home earlier this year. We're talking a 20-15 final score at Kinnick against the current number 2 team in the country. But that being said, I still think Oregon's good. I think Oregon's better by a decent margin. And I know as much as you hate it, Stiggs, but maybe that loss fired up Dan Lanning. He's got. You hate that. I think what we're talking.
Yeah.
Like, why does he need something to?
Which loss, man? The 2 Washingtons, the Ohio State. Like which one?
I was talking about the Indiana one, but no, I think that they'll be all right, especially off a bye week. I'm going to take Oregon to win and cover. Bryce.
I think if Oregon can score 21 points, they're going to win this game. I don't see a world where Iowa scores more than 14, 15, 17 points against Oregon, unless there's some crazy fumble, turnover, touchdown on defense. If Iowa's going to win this game, it's going to be because of their defense. It's not going to be because of their offense. I have full confidence that Oregon will be able to shut them down offensively. I think, if anything, this game is reliant on Oregon's offense. If they do poorly, if they turn the ball over, in their own territory, if they have a pick six, fumble recovery, maybe special teams problems, or if they can't score. I think this game will come down to Oregon's offense and what they're going to be able to do on the field. That being said, I think they're going to take care of business, and they're still going to get stuff done. So I'm taking Oregon. I do think it'll be close and very low scoring.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. But here's the thing that I think is kind of flying a little bit under the radar with Iowa for you. They are scoring more than years past. How many points per game do you think they're averaging?
Oh, they're at around 30, I believe.
Yeah, 31.3. A team like Oklahoma is less than them.
Yeah.
They can score better than before, but I wouldn't call them an elite offense by any means. Like, I would probably put Oregon in that category. Adam.
Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet again. Give me the Ducks. I think they'll cover as well in this game.
Do
Surely.
you have them covering, Bryce?
No, I do not. I think it'll be close. Like I said, I think Oregon's going to win this game. I think if they can get to 21 points, they will win. But I believe in Iowa's defense, just like I believe in Oregon's defense. I think it's going to be very low scoring, and I think Iowa might actually cover the spread at home.
All right. And college game day, our very last pick of the night. BYU undefeated at Texas Tech. This game is in Lubbock Stadium. Over under 52.5. This is a noon kickoff. Fellas, spread is Texas Tech minus 10.5 right now. Adam.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a great one to watch, especially for my Bearcats. I'm gonna go with Texas Tech in this game, but I think it's gonna be very close. Just BYU, you can't count them out of any game ever. Think they're gonna get stomped. They go out and win. I can't go against them, but I think they covered the 10.5.
Yeah, with Baron Morton back, I think Tech looks back to life with how they were beforehand. The thing is, it sucks for, you guys, Bryce and Adam. I don't think that they're going to put two Big 12 teams in. I don't think that they're going to get that luxury. You're not saying that it's right or wrong, just saying Tech cannot afford another loss. And I think Tech wins this game and gives BYU their first loss. 10.5 point spread. Is that a little high for any of you guys, Stigs?
No.
Mm.
Texas Tech's really good, man. They have the best defensive line unit, and whatever metric you want to look at, they're the highest graded versus the rush, highest graded versus the pass. The Cougars, that they rely on their run game a lot, and their offensive line has backed them up. They have a top 10 run blocking grade, a top 25 pass blocking grade, so they're a very good balanced team. And although Bear hasn't had to do it all year, he did prove the last time out that he could throw the ball down the field because their run game got stuffed. I have no reason to pick BYU. The matchup favors Texas Tech. I'm going back to Soak City, baby. Give me Bear Bachmeier.
Really?
Wow.
Really, like I said, I have no reason to pick it. Like, the matchup favor the true freshman quarterback against a daunting defensive line that has the most pressures in college football. I got no reason to pick it, but I'm picking it.
You have a type, Stiggs. When they say about girls, you have a type. It's the gritty quarterback, the Haynes King, the Bear Bachmeiers of college football.
Give it to me, man.
Type. Yeah, that's your type.
I would trade that kind of quarterback for a Dante Moore any day. And that's no offense to Dante Moore, but like, I love someone who can run, and I love someone who, instead of sliding, says, "Nah, I'm coming." Remember Jeremiah Masoli? That's my dog.
Bryce.
I am taking Texas Tech. Aaron Morton will be playing in this game, and this year, Texas Tech has been dominant in every single game they played up until he got injured in Kansas. Kansas, whenever they played them, was their worst win, and the final score of that game was 42-17. The following week, they played Arizona State, and they lost. They started a They started freshman quarterback Will Hammond, and they lost that game in heartbreaking fashion. And since then, they've come back to be dominant. Barrett Morton did play last week. I was not expecting that, and they showed Kansas State who they are. Texas Tech defense is also highly underrated. Like, as good as their offense is, their defense is just as good. They can compete with anybody else in the country. I think this game they're gonna blow BYU out. Even at -10, I don't think it's high enough. I mean, I'd like it at -14 right here for them. I think BYU will be for a rude awakening. I think they've just been a little bit overhyped this year. Granted, they are 8-0. They deserve to get the love at the moment, but I think they've been a little bit overhyped from where they're at. I think this Texas Tech team, especially with their quarterback, is different, and they'll show that Saturday night. Or Saturday morning. It's 11 a.m. kick.
Yeah, that's. Before we hop off here, I have two things to ask, and I'll start with you, Stiggs. There were two lines that I thought maybe you could explain to me, because I think they look really low, and see if you know why. Auburn at Vandy, yes, 4-5. Auburn at Vandy. Vandy's only favored by 6.5 at home. That seems very low. Also, Washington at Wisconsin. I know that there's supposed to be maybe some snow. Washington only favored by 11.5 against 2-6 Wisconsin. Do you have any insight on those, or are those surprising to you as well?
Did Auburn officially fire Hugh Freeze?
Yes.
They did.
Gotta be why, right? It's so close, though.
Yeah, it's the head coach buff would be my guess, because I don't think Auburn played last week. Or no, they did play, didn't
They
they?
lost to
They
Kentucky
lost.
10-3.
Yeah, so that's what did it. Yeah. My guess would just be the interim coach juice. You've seen UCLA get some momentum, get a win after it. That would be my only guess. As to the Washington one, I really can't explain it because Wisconsin's bad. Maybe they're actually taking stock in the performance against Oregon, only losing by 14. And that would be my best guess. But I'm pretty confident that the first one is because of the head coaching change, and no one really knows what you're going to see with Auburn. Maybe they'll actually throw it to Cam Coleman. He's pretty good.
Yeah, no Jackson Arnold either, because he was benched. But I'm wondering with the Washington-Wisconsin game, how big the snow is supposed to play factor in that. But Bryce, Adam, you guys got anything to add to that, or I just looked at those and I was like, what? Like,
Yeah, that Washington one is a little weird. Just because Wisconsin is so bad and they can't score.
Maybe they're going to be juiced up since Fickle's staying.
Another year. Team.
Another. Adam has already set his DVR recorder to another full year of Luke Fickle hate watching.
Hell yeah.
Haven't you, Adam?
I love it. I eat it up.
What do you think, Bryce? You think Stiggs nailed it on the head?
I mean, yeah. If there's weather, you said it's at Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 41 degrees, and I'm seeing some snow.
I mean, if Washington's never really played in that environment, when's the last time Washington football has played in a snowy environment?
I think
Is
they
that
get
like-
snow, though, in Washington.
Bro, I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure one of the last Apple Cups was in the snow. They've played in snow in the last like 2 or 3 years, guaranteed.
Really?
Yeah.
I
100%.
honestly have nothing to say about it. Like I would have guessed it would have been because of the weather, because of the snow.
Washington or Wisconsin cannot score. That is the thing. They went 14 quarters in a row without a touchdown this year.
I wonder what bum ass fucking team allowed them to score a touchdown.
Oh no, I didn't mean to poke the
The
bear.
Oregon?
Yes, it was freaking Oregon, dude. Sorry, I keep cussing, but yeah,
No, you're
it's
good, you're
Oregon.
good.
did
No
that touchdown
monetization.
I cannot wrap my head around this, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure it was like the third quarter. It wasn't a garbage time touchdown. That's what you're saying.
Did they drive down the field?
Yes, man. They drove down the fucking field. You want me to relive it? Like, goddamn.
You know, maybe Wisconsin coming off a bye. That's what it is.
Was it a 10-play like 70-yard drive?
Okay.
8 minutes off the clock?
Or we need
I'm about
Sticks
to
to
freak
still
out.
be here next week. So we're going to go ahead and end the pod right there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Another great episode. Graphic will be up tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. Another week of the We Know Ball College Football Podcast. Next week, we're already at week 12, fellas.